Your car choice tells the world who you are before you even speak. And when that car is a Porsche, those signals get really specific. Today, we're breaking down exactly what each Porsche model says about its owner, backed by real facts and sales data that might surprise you. Before we dive into each model, here's something that ties all Porsche buyers together. You want a car that can handle your Monday commute and your Sunday canyon run. This brand has been doing that balance since 1963, when they first showed the 911 at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Every Porsche owner shares this weird mix of wanting something practical and something that makes their heart race. Here's what might shock you though, Porsches aren't just about two-door sports cars anymore. In the first half of 2025, the Macan was their best-selling model globally, and nearly 60% of those were fully electric. That's right, most new Porsche buyers are choosing electric SUVs. But before you think the brand's gone soft, remember that these electric Porsches are setting lap records at racetracks around the world. Let's count down through each model and decode what your choice really says about you, starting with number 7. Number 7, the 718 Boxster and Cayman. If you pick one of these, you're telling everyone you understand what really matters in a sports car. You don't need the 911 badge to prove anything. You want the engine right behind your head. You want less weight. And you want a car that talks to you through the steering wheel on a tight mountain road. Here's the kicker though, if you're buying a 718 in 2025, you're also making a statement about timing. Porsche confirmed they're ending production of these gas-powered mid-engine cars in the fourth quarter of 2025. The electric replacement isn't here yet, so buying a 718 now says you wanted to catch this era before it disappears forever. The 718 has always been the thinking person's Porsche. It costs less than a 911, but often feels better on a curvy road because of that perfect mid-engine balance. When Porsche made the RS versions like the Spider RS and GT4 RS, they proved these weren't just entry-level cars. They gave them the same serious race hardware as the 911 GT cars, and the used market went crazy for them. So if you're a 718 owner, you're basically saying, I know what makes a great sports car, and I'm smart enough to get it without overpaying for a badge. Number 6, the Panamera. This is for the person whose public face is all business, but whose private face loves a good canyon road. You need 4 doors because your life demands it, whether that's clients, family, or just personal preference for a sedan. But you refuse to give up that Porsche steering feel and brake pedal just because you need back seats. The newest Panamera really leans into this split personality. It has this wild system called Active Ride that uses hydraulic pumps and special dampers to literally hold the car level in corners or even lean into them like a motorcycle. The plug-in hybrid versions can go up to 91 kilometers on electric power alone, which is about 56 miles. That's enough for most people's daily commute, without using any gas at all. Here's a fun fact that Panamera owners love to share. The previous generation Turbo S model set a lap record at the Nürburgring for executive cars, running a 7-minute 24-second lap. That's faster than a lot of dedicated sports cars. So when you choose a Panamera, you're saying you need the practicality of a luxury sedan, but you're not willing to sacrifice the fun. You're the person who drops the kids off at school, then takes the long way to work just because that road has some good corners. Number 5, the Cayenne. You've got people to move, gear to haul, maybe a boat to tow, and you do it all while refusing to feel disconnected from the road. The Cayenne was the car that saved Porsche back in the early 2000s, proving you could make an SUV that still felt like a Porsche. They hit 1 million units produced back in 2020. Which explains why you see so many of them in ski resort parking lots. The newest Cayenne got one of the biggest updates in Porsche history. They redesigned the whole interior with controls that actually make sense, added these insane headlights with over 32,000 pixels per lamp that can basically draw around other cars at night, and the hybrid versions got bigger batteries at 25.9 kilowatt hours. The Cayenne S even swapped to a proper V8 engine. Choosing a Cayenne says you're a realist with a sense of what matters. You need the space, the ride height, the ability to handle weather and rough roads. But you're paying extra because you still want to feel connected to the road. You want that Porsche steering weight and brake feel even when you're hauling kids and groceries. If you went for the hybrid version, you're also saying your daily drives are predictable enough that you can do most of them on electric power, saving gas and reducing emissions in the process. Number 4, the Macan. And this one's interesting because it comes in two very different flavors right now. The new electric Macan went all in on the future with Porsche's premium platform electric. We're talking 800-volt architecture, which means super fast charging up to 270 kilowatts, and ranges up to 613 kilometers or about 380 miles. The battery is around 100 kilowatt hours, and the turbo version puts out 639 horsepower with 1,130 newton meters of torque when you hit launch control. That's the kind of power that pushes you back in your seat hard. If you bought the electric Macan, you're an early adopter who's comfortable with where the world is heading. Your life is already set up for electric, meaning you've got home charging figured out. Your daily drives work with the range, and you're ready to be part of the 60% of Macan buyers globally who went electric in 2025. You like having an SUV that's compact enough for the city, but still feels like a sports car when you want it to. Now, if you're still buying the gas-powered Macan, that tells a different story. Porsche already stopped selling it in Europe, but it's still available in other markets for a little while longer. Choosing the gas version now means you want the proven formula while you can still get it. You know exactly what you're getting, and you're not ready to make the electric jump yet. Nothing wrong with that. You're just being honest about what works for your life right now. Number 3, the Taycan. This car says you like the future and you like lap times. After the 2025 refresh, this thing can charge at up to 320 kilowatts on the right charger, meaning you can go from 10 to 80% charge in about 18 to 21 minutes under ideal conditions. The range now tops out at 678 kilometers or about 421 miles on the European test cycle. Car and Driver tested the new one and found huge real-world improvements in both range and efficiency. But here's what really matters. The Taycan Turbo GT keeps setting track records. A pre-production version lapped the Nürburgring in 7 minutes, 7 seconds. That's properly fast, like supercar fast. And it does it in complete silence except for the tire noise and a subtle electric whine. Taycan owners tend to be tech-forward, but also driving enthusiasts. You wanted a real Porsche with all that steering feel and braking performance, but you were done with gas stations. You weren't willing to settle for some boring electric appliance to get there either. If you went full Turbo GT, you probably enjoy looking at data overlays, have opinions about electronic differential strategies, and love casually mentioning that your electric sedan could embarrass most sports cars around a track. Car and Driver named it their 2025 EV of the Year, which basically means the automotive media agrees with your choice. Number 2, the 718 deserves another mention here because there's more to this story. These cars represent something special that's about to disappear. When you can get them with a manual transmission, which you still can in 2025, you're getting one of the last chances to buy a brand new mid-engine manual Porsche. That combination of features is becoming extinct across the entire car industry. The weight distribution in these cars is nearly perfect, with the engine sitting right behind you, making them incredibly balanced and responsive. They weigh less than a 911, which means they can change direction faster and stop shorter. On a tight technical road or track, a well-driven 718 can embarrass cars costing twice as much. The engine sound is right there behind your head, not muffled by distance like in the 911. You hear every mechanical noise, every intake gulp, every exhaust pop. It's visceral in a way that even the 911 can't match. Number 1, the 911. And this is where things get really interesting because there are so many different versions that each one sends a completely different message. Let's start with the regular Carrera models, including the Targa. Choosing one of these says you value continuity and heritage. You want to be part of a story that started in 1963 and has sold over 1 million cars while still feeling special. The 911 shape is so iconic that people who don't know anything about cars still recognize it. But you're not just buying nostalgia. The 2025 refresh brought serious tech, including a new hybrid system on the GTS model. This isn't a plug-in hybrid though. It's what Porsche calls T-hybrid, using a small battery, an electric motor built into the transmission, and an electrically assisted turbocharger to add power and response without needing a charging cable. If you pick the hybrid GTS specifically, you're saying you like your improvements surgical rather than revolutionary. You want the latest tech, but you wanted it integrated so smoothly that nobody would know unless they looked at the badge. You appreciate that Porsche figured out how to use electricity to kill turbo lag and make the engine pull harder without changing how you use the car day to day. Now, if you went full 911 Turbo or Turbo S, you're playing a different game entirely. You want supercar speed, but you want it composed and usable in any weather. Car and Driver and other magazines have used the Turbo as their benchmark for all weather performance for years. It's the car that can lap a track in the morning, drive through a snowstorm at lunch, and cruise to a fancy dinner that night, all without breaking a sweat. Turbo buyers typically have the money for something flashier, but choose understated competence instead. You're the quiet predator, the sleeper, the one who doesn't need to announce their capability. The GT3 models, including the GT3 RS and the new GT3 ST, are for people who think lap times are a love language. These are basically race cars with license plates. Porsche even sells factory-approved Manthe racing kits to make them even faster on track. The engines rev to 9,000 RPM. The suspension is track-tuned, and everything about them is focused on going fast around corners. If you own one of these, you probably know your local track's configuration by heart. You've got a helmet and racing gloves in the frunk, and you can talk for hours about tire compounds and brake pad materials. Then there's the 911 Dakar, which might be the wildest statement of all. Limited to just 2,500 units worldwide, this thing has 50 millimeters of extra ground clearance, or 191 millimeters with the lift system engaged. That's about 7.5 inches of clearance, enough to take a 911 places Porsche never intended. It's got special off-road driving modes, reinforced bodywork, and all the mechanical changes needed to actually work on dirt and gravel. Buying a Dakar says you refuse to accept conventional limitations. You're the person who shows up at the ski resort in a sports car who takes the fire road shortcut, who thinks adventure doesn't require giving up performance. You love telling people that yes, that really is a lifted 911, and yes, it really can do what it looks like it can do. Each 911 variant also comes with insane customization options. Porsche's Paint to Sample program now offers over 190 colors, and their exclusive manufacture department has about 1,000 different options. If you go full Sonderwunsch, which is their special request program, they'll basically build you a one-off car. Your color choice alone sends signals. That signal yellow 911 screams historic color nerd. A viola metallic purple one says you want your sports car to be a character, not just transportation. What's interesting about all these choices is they're backed by a community that's bigger than you might think. The Porsche Club of America has over 165,000 members, making it the world's largest single-brand car club. The two US Porsche Experience Centers in Atlanta and LA have had over 450,000 visitors since opening. That means when you buy a Porsche, you're not just getting a car. You're getting access to a whole world of people who get why you care about steering feel and brake modulation. The resale value story matters too. Kelley Blue Book regularly lists the 911 among the best resale value cars you can buy, and Porsche as a brand consistently ranks at the top for owner satisfaction. J.D. Power named them the most appealing premium brand in 2025. This means your Porsche isn't just telling a story about who you are now, it's an investment that will age well with you. Here's something else to consider. What all these cars really say is that you like things that work. Even Porsche's wildest ideas come with real engineering to back them up. The Taycan's charging curve holds high power longer than most EVs, even in cold weather. The Macan Electric's 800-volt platform and bank charging system are overbuilt for the real world. The Cayenne's Matrix headlights and Panamera's active ride suspension might sound like gimmicks, but they actually make long drives less tiring. Looking at the sales numbers tells us something about all Porsche buyers as a group. In the US, 2024 was a record sales year, with SUVs doing most of the heavy lifting. Globally, electric models are taking over fast, with the Macan already majority electric and the Taycan growing strong. This means the typical Porsche buyer today might be in an electric SUV rather than a gas-powered sports car. And that's actually fine. Those SUV sales are what fund the development of cars like the GT3 RS and the special editions. Every Porsche model speaks to a different type of person, but they all share some core truths. You value engineering excellence. You want a car that can handle both your practical needs and your desire for driving enjoyment. You're willing to pay more for something that feels special every time you use it. Whether you picked an electric Macan for your family duties or a GT3 for your track addiction, you've chosen a machine that says you haven't given up on driving, even in an age of transportation appliances. The model you choose broadcasts your specific flavor of enthusiasm, your life situation, and your priorities. But ultimately, any Porsche says this: you still believe cars can be more than just tools. They can be partners, entertainers, and even expressions of who you are. In a world going autonomous and electric, that's a statement worth making. Your Porsche doesn't just say something about you, it says everything about you. From your risk tolerance to your daily routine, from your idea of fun to your vision of the future. The only question left is, which one tells your story?